Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we're going to be recapping season 5, episode 4 of Lego Masters. We have seen 2 teams eliminated so far, and we are down to our final 9 teams. 9 teams remain as they enter the enchanting world of Wicket. In this Wicket theme challenge, each team is given a mythical spell to inspire their build. Once that's done, and they must cleverly hide the spell related elements within their creation. Which builders align with the good side, which embraces the wicked in an all new Wicked episode of Lego Masters. This episode aired yesterday, last night, Monday on Fox at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, the show is on Hulu the following day. We were the early stages of the show. We were kind of wondering when this show would pick up, and last week was a banger of an episode. And you know what? I really did like this Wicked episode. I do think that I have some issues with some of the builds here, but before we dive in, we've had 2 teams eliminated. Let me put the teams on the big board for us for those of you watching here. Hang on one second. Let's see here. Share my settings. But yeah, we've had 2 teams obviously eliminated within the competition. One being Marcella and Krista, and then of course being the other being Nick and Kendall. All right. This won't let me share my thing without resetting my screen. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive right into the episode. All right, as we mentioned, we get a nice little appearance from Jeff Goldblum at the beginning of the episode. The judges want to see a magical build within their builds that highlight the good and evil within their work. Now, we have some good builds within this. However, we see someone struggling as well. It did not take long for somebody to sing Defying Gravity, which was John and Justin. We had a hilarious moment where Will Arnett is talking to Ian and Sage and goes, do you like Ariana Grande? And they're like, she was like, oh my God, yeah. Here comes Ariana Grande. And then, no, just kidding. She did not show up. It was kind of messed up, but it kind of made me laugh a little bit as well. But we have a generosity spell that can be added to 30 minutes to the build. Will obviously nailed the spell, giving them 30 extra minutes. Before we get into the builds themselves, Anthony and Joe have the golden brick, and then of course have the option after their build on whether or not to turn it in. Now, we are early in the competition. Episode 4 here. Is it episode 4? Episode 5. I'm sorry. No, this is episode 4. Episode 4 here of the competition. And Anthony and Joe decide to turn in the golden brick. What? Already? I didn't even think, looking at their build, I didn't think it was that bad, right? I thought it was, honestly, the build was not one of my favorites. I think it ended up being in my top 4, maybe top 3 or 4. But it blew my mind that they looked at their build and were like, we're not confident enough in this build in order for us to move forward. So Anthony and Joe decided to turn their golden brick in already. That said, Anthony and Joe were first. They got the banishment spell. They made a witch's hat inspired by Wicket. The judges actually really liked it. They thought there were some issues with it. I personally gave it a 7 out of 10. The judges said they don't know why they used the golden brick because the actual thing was actually really, really, really good. And then, of course, on the flip side, we had Ben and Michael. They had the power spell. I thought their build was really cool, and how they built this and the things explored all over with the chains and stuff like that. To me, top notch. Again, Ben and Michael consistently have been putting up pretty solid builds. Pretty much probably a leader in the clubhouse across the board. All right, Alex and Tone. Deception spell. Look, the gemstone was really cool, right? The gemstones were kind of cool here, but to me, this looked like a plain Jane kind of build. And I hate to say that, you know what I mean? Alex and Tone, fantastic. They're doing their thing in there, but I just did not love the build here at all. It didn't feel like a Lego Masters build, right? You know what I mean? I don't want to see something that I'm not going to say me because I can't build Legos. I'm not very good at it. Maybe my daughter, you know what I mean? I just don't think that this build really brought anything to the table that really stood out and was like, hey, this is amazing. Judges kind of sounded the same there with me. Corey and Rebecca, the bubble spell, they threw Glinda a birthday party. I thought this was good. I thought this was top tier. Fun, vibrant, colorful. I love the storytelling, the bubble spell. This was one of the more vibrant, just beautiful, getting the Glinda colors popping with the pink. I love this one. Big fan of this one. I gave this one a 7 out of 10 here. All right, Nikki and Britton, the love spell. They have the love potion. They open it up. It looked okay. Some of the construction of what they were trying to show the judges ended up not working, which obviously was a ding against them. I had them at a 5 out of 10 here. John and Justin had the defiance spell. The Emerald City build, the levitating was rather cool. Of course, the defying gravity was within this. It was rather solid here. I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10. I think this might have been one of my favorite builds of theirs of the season so far. Ian and Sage, I'll be honest with you, I like this, but I expected more from them. It had a lot going on for him. Even Amy was like, hey, this is just so much that you're taking away from the main point of your build here. I expected more out of Ian and Sage. They've been my early kind of front runners here, back and forth. I've been keeping my eye on them. I've really liked what they've brought to the table, but this week was probably their weakest link that I've had so far. Maya and Jamie, bravery spell. I like this one. Far from perfect, but it fit the theme. It fit what we were going for. Solid. I went 7 out of 10 here. And in Luke, friendship spell. They made a picnic basket. They covered with the potion. To me, this one wasn't that great. I wasn't a big fan. I gave this one a 5 out of 10. Was definitely bottom tier for me. My two favorite builds of this episode, definitely Ben and Michael. Anthony and Joe were up there, but for me, I'm going to go John and Justin. No. Sorry, hang on. Make sure I'm checking my scores. Yeah, Anthony, Joe would probably Ben and Michael, Anthony, Joe were my top two builds. John and Justin were probably close to the top tier as well, which obviously John and Justin, Ben and Michael did end up in the top two. Ben and Michael won the challenge. This would have been my pick as well. Not really surprised to see Ben and Michael win. Did have by far the best build of the week. For the bottom two, Nikki and Britton. This one didn't surprise me, right? Nikki and Britton's build was not great. You know what I mean? Again, I just feel like they're consistently just okay here. And I think the big reason why they're failed here is because of the lack of their build actually being a cohesive unit and what they were trying to display to the judges. And of course, Alex and Tone were also in the bottom two, with Alex and Tone heading home. Honestly, this probably would have been my pick as well. I probably would have sent them home as well. Just not a big fan. Honestly, Ann and Luke probably would have been in my bottom two. It would have been probably Ann and Luke and Alex and Tone. Alex and Tone more than likely going home because their build just didn't really impress me. That being said, folks, like I did last week, each and every week, I'm sitting down with the eliminated contestants of Lego Masters. You can check out those interviews right here on the YouTube channel the following day. You'll be able to hear this podcast. If you're watching live, it goes live right after the episode airs. And then, of course, you can watch the episode of my exit interviews every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. Central Time. That's 6 a.m. Central or 6 a.m. Eastern. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Love in Reality podcast, breaking down Lego Masters. We'll be back next week, breaking down Season 5, Episode 5. Thank you guys for tuning in.